Okay, you've got your electron charger. Let's go through what you've got and how to use it. You have the device itself, a ground tester, small black cylinder, and this is what will make the pulse. The metal mesh, 2 cables. They may not always both be red. On one side, they are both going to have banana plugs, and the other one has a banana plug and one has an alligator clip. And you're going to have a power supply, which is going to have a separate wire and a box. First thing you're going to need to do is find an outlet that's grounded. If you're in a modern home, most of the outlets, or all of them, will be grounded, but not necessarily. So, let's go and plug this into a wall and see what we see. Take the ground tester and plug it into the outlet you'll be using. You should only see the 2 orange lights on the right-hand side light up. If this is what you're seeing, you can use this outlet. If not, you're going to have to find a different outlet. Okay, let's plug the machine in. Okay, you've got your grounded outlet. Let's get the machine all plugged up. On the back of the machine, you have a fuse. If the machine ever stops working, that's something to check. And this is where the power goes in, and this is where the electrons come out. So, let's go plug that in there. All right, we've got an outlet that we know is grounded, so first make sure the unit is in the off position, then plug it in. And then you're going to attach the alligator clip to the metal mesh and put it on top of a pillow. You want to make sure that there's at least 1.5 inches of space between the bottom of the mesh and the floor. You also want a non-metallic chair or to sit on. You can also use a sofa. The idea is that a huge number of electrons are going to be pumped out of the earth by the machine into that pad and then into the person. You want to make sure there's no way for the electrons to go anywhere else but the person who's receiving them. And they want to go back to the ground, so they'll take any opportunity. So the person has to be insulated. That's why we have the wooden chair. If she were on a metal chair, the electrons would go in her, then into the chair, then into the floor, and not only would she get a little bit of a shock, but there'd be no electrons. Okay, so first step is ask them, are you pregnant and do you have any implanted medical devices? No, great. There's a cell phone in your back pocket. Why don't we take that out? Great. Okay, so the unit is off. Your client is going to take off their socks, and it's important that both feet are on the pad, because again, if one foot's on the pad and one foot's on the floor, it's going to go in one foot and out the other. All right, now you can turn the machine on, and you should see a green light come on telling you the power is going. You'll see another light. This is the reset light, and this device has an auto shut-off, so that in the event that a person does ground themselves and the electrons leave the body, the unit will shut itself off, so that while there'd be a momentary uncomfortable shock, it'll only be for a split second. Additionally, I'm touching the floor, and if she were to touch me, and then the reset light comes on. So what happens is all the electricity went into her feet, out of her, through me, into the floor, and then we have the reset light. So not only can't she touch the floor or anything touching the floor, she can't touch a person touching the floor. And even if she were to hand me her cell phone, it could shoot from her hand to the cell phone to me out the floor. So you'll get the hang of it. To reset it, turn it off, and turn it back on, and you're good to go. Even though the unit is off, she still has a residual charge on her. And since it's more comfortable to discharge through your feet than through your hands, just put your foot on the ground and you might feel a tiny little click of electricity go through. All right, let's talk about using the spark gap. Remove the cable from the back and attach the other wire to it. This is the wire with banana plugs on both sides, and put the banana plug into the plastic cylinder. And then take the other end of the banana plug that goes to the mesh, put it into the cylinder, and separate them about the width of a dime, and put it down. Now we're going to turn the unit back on. Wait, get your feet on. And you can hear the clicking coming from inside there. I'm going to bring this up to the microphone so you can hear this. All right. It's now in pulse mode. To make the clicking faster, decrease the space between the electrodes, and to make it slower, pull them farther apart. But don't try this when it's on, because you're going to get a little bit of a shock. Turn it off each time until you get the adjustment just right. If you want to use the device for detox, get yourself a foot bath, fill it halfway with water and a little bit of salt. Put the mesh in and have the person put their feet in. And then turn the unit on. Toxic metals are positively charged, and this water is now negatively charged. So as the blood carrying toxic metals is moving through her feet, the positively charged metals will be attracted to the negatively charged water, and then you simply dump the water out afterwards. You can also use the same technology to push negatively charged things in. So glutathione or vitamin C both have a negative charge. If you were to add those to the water, they would be pushed inside the body. You can fill the tub with water and Epsom salts. Epsom salts are positively charged. If then she holds the mesh and has Epsom salt water in the bath, then what happens is she is negatively charged and the positively charged Epsom salts will want to come into her. Finally, worms do not like electricity. So if you're dealing with parasites, you can put the metal mesh directly against the skin of your abdomen and then turn it on. Okay, let's talk about making electric smoothies. I'm going to suggest you get a Vitamix blender. And the reason is because the base of the Vitamix blender does not make direct electrical contact to the motor. And we're going to be electrifying the base. If you use a blender that has metal going from the base of the blender all the way to the motor, then all of your electrons won't go into the smoothie. They're going to go back into your blender and possibly break your blender. I cannot guarantee every Vitamix is like this, but this model and the others I've seen will work. Now what you're going to need to do is drill 2 holes. You can see that there's a larger hole here, and then there's a smaller hole in the base underneath it. Now if you want to do this, you probably want to contact Vitamix and get the wrench that they use to remove this base ring, because you're also going to drill a hole here. Once you've drilled a hole through the plastic of the blender here and then through the base of the metal here, you can then insert your banana plug directly into your blender, like this. Then when you're ready, you're going to put 1 cup of water and 2 tablespoons of lecithin inside your blender. Once you've got the blender attached, just turn it on the littlest you can. If you go past the very beginning, then you may end up putting too much electricity into your blender, and even though it is somewhat insulated, the electricity can jump through to the motor and then you can damage your blender. Then you're going to blend it for 60 seconds and then drink it. It's not the kind of thing that you want to store because liposomes do break down. And then you have your electronic smoothie or your electric liposomes.